Welcome. Welcome to Leadership Speak. This is the club that provides you with a supportive and positive learning experience in which our members are empowered to develop communication and leadership skills, resulting in greater self-confidence and personal growth. And you all know why you are here today as self-directed leaders. Well done on joining today's meeting. So with that, I'm not going to say much. I would like you to sit back, grab a drink, relax, open your ears, because great leaders have great listening skills. And I'm going to introduce Brahm Memone. He is the chief architect and design mastermind behind Leadership Speak's spectacular success. From launching to chartering this club in 1 week. And guess what? It is not the only successful club under Brahm's wing. Because during his presidency with MySpeak was awarded Club of the Year, and it was ranked one of the top 4 clubs globally by Marshals. So we are definitely in the presence of great leadership, a master coach in the space of personal mastery and leadership, and a consultant and coach for large organizations. So let's gather our energy. I hope you're excited for today's meeting. You are going to spend valuable time with Leadership Speak today. And let's welcome our club founder, great self-directed leader, and Toastmaster of the day, Brahm Memone.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you very much for that incredible introduction. I feel so inflated. I don't know if I'm going to be able to speak now. Wonderfully done introduction. Thank you so much. I've never heard an introduction, such a lengthy introduction done so well. So thank you very much. And you exemplify self-directed leadership. Thank you, Nikita, for that. Ladies and gentlemen, why is it self-directed leadership 2.0? Well, exactly 7 weeks ago, no, let me calculate, exactly 6 weeks ago, all right, 42 days ago, we had self-directed leadership, that's it, without the 2.0, and now we have 2.0. So we want to sort of see, have we progressed or haven't we progressed, or what does it really mean to be self-directed? And why is it so difficult to attain self-directed leadership? The central theme of self-directed leadership, I suppose, was missed out last time, was it is all got to do with team. That's a paradigm shift or an anomaly, out of the box sort of thinking, like if it is self-directed, it should be about me. But if it is only about you, it's not really self-directed. It is about what's in it for me, and that's it. And so the team doesn't really matter. And when team doesn't matter, then it's not self-directed leadership. So a lot of self-directed leadership has to do with, am I part of a team? And it's not unusual not to be able to think that way in a Toastmasters club, because Toastmasters clubs are not really geared to thinking about yourself and others as a team. Yes, you belong to a club, and yes, you do a pathways and you turn up for roles and so on, but the teamwork isn't that much emphasized, and so we want to do that here. Why do I say that? Because I've been a Toastmaster for now almost 26 years. In exactly 4 weeks, it'll be 26 years I would have been in Toastmasters. And from experience that I'm talking about, self-directed leadership and the teamwork. And the essence of self-directed is, if I'm able to self-direct myself, just like if you are in a world-class, top-playing football team, soccer team, basketball team, hockey team, cricket team, depending on where in the world you are, rugby team, right? Depending on where in the world you are, you know that you have to be self-directed, which means to go to take charge of your life, take charge of yourself, your energy, your practice, turn up on the field with your other teammates, practice, and then come for the real game with your teammates and you have a position you hold. Today, the position that Nikita is holding is of Sergeant at Arms. I'm holding the position of being the Toastmaster of the day. We have speakers, we have a toast, we have all these positions in the game, just like in soccer, like that, or in football. There's a center forward and back players and what God knows, all those positions that you have to make the game come to a good ending at the end, hopefully. So you're going to think of self-directed leadership as, am I a team player? And am I telling the rest of my team, am I going to be playing on the field today? Am I going to sort of practice and so that when I come and play on the field with my other teammates, that they know what position I'm holding way before, a week before, they know the position I'm holding and how I'm going to be playing and who I'm playing with and so on, which means, our schedule, which is Easy Speak, you are on Easy Speak, you've told us and the rest of our team here that you'll be coming to play on Saturday. And not only that you will come and just play and just turn up, but here's a role that I will be taking. Today, I'll take the role of a timer, tomorrow, Sergeant at Arms, and next time, Evaluator, maybe General Evaluator, maybe a Toastmaster of the day, maybe Table Topics Master. Why? Because we are an advanced club. And as an advanced club, what do? We sort of generate our own positions in the game because we are all supposed to be experts. Well, maybe not. No pressure. So if you are not sure of anything, that you don't know what you're doing, ask somebody. Ask me, ask Brent, ask a lot of people who are senior members. And I know Sandi constantly asks me all the time, yeah, come and jump on Zoom and show me something. And I do. And we are learning together. And she is so thankful for being in this club because of the amount of things that she's learning. So no presumptions about what you know or need to know. But the only thing you need to know is jump in the deep end, as like Sandi said before the meeting began. So thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. This is Leadership Speak. Welcome to the meeting. Let's play off. Ready to play? Okay, so let's see what shall we do. Let's begin with a little survey. Like, the last time 6 weeks ago we did a survey, so I'm going to pop something on in the poll and do a survey, and I don't know if I can do that today. Let's see if it's available. It is available, I think. Let's see if we can do a survey for everyone as to what do you think is self-leadership according to you. Now that I've said it, maybe I've given the game away, but I've launched a poll here. I want everyone, including the guests, to choose 2 things that you think is what you think ought to be self-directed leadership. The poll is on the screen. I think everyone can see it. It's ticking. Go ahead and tick 2 things. And while you're doing that, I don't see any. Oh, I see that there is action happening. Wow, awesome, wonderful. So you're all playing out fully out, which means 100% of the people here should be able to do the poll. Now, the only people who cannot do the poll is if you're a co-host or a host, you will not be able to do the poll. So besides that, if you see the poll, just go ahead and make sure that you participate fully out and play fully in the poll. Now, while the poll is going on, let's have a look and see what we have in store for us. Oh, yes, we have several things happening today. And if I look at the agenda, we have our past district governor, Tony Breshett, who is also an extremely close, good friend of mine, great supporter, good mentor to me. And today he's going to raise the toast. Mr. Tony Breshett.
Thank you, Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, and most welcome guests. I've enjoyed being a Toastmaster for 15 years. I've had district positions where I grew. I've earned my DTM where I have learned. And along the way, I have observed individuals who've made a difference, a better difference, a positive difference, a difference with impactful results. To me, those are self-directed leaders who have conviction, purpose, and ability to find the right path and develop the right way to make things better for themselves and other people, like us. When things go well, they give credit to others. When things get rough, they get tough, because self-directed leaders know that it is not the shortest path, and that it's not the easiest way to dream and create and build a better experience for everyone. To me, this is what self-directed leadership is: to believe, plan, and lead, to benefit all. And that's why we're here today. Again, to help and support each other along the right path and in a better way towards self-directed leadership. A better difference, a positive difference, a difference with impact for you, me, and others. Please join me in a toast to self-directed leadership.
Self-directed leadership. Cheers.
Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Tony. Very appropriate for the occasion as to what self-directed leadership is, and thank you for the toast. Our next role is the grammarian, because we need to watch our words, and words make a big difference in how we use them. To tell us what the word of the day is and explain to us what that is, we have our Toastmaster, Srayashi Karan, all the way from India. Srayashi.
Thank you. Thank you, TMOD. The word of the day today is sedulous, which is an adjective, much like the word which we used in the last meeting, which was stewardship. Okay, the meaning is showing dedication and diligence. Examples: after weeks of patient and sedulous labor, we completed our detailed analysis of every published SAT examination. Another example: even though you completely destroy the ant bed time after time, those sedulous ants will continue to go right back to work rebuilding it. The other words connected to this are sedulously, which is an adverb, and sedulousness, which is a noun. But I hope everybody uses the word of the day, which is sedulous. Grammar is important because it provides information that helps the reader's comprehension. It is the structure that conveys precise meaning from the speaker to the audience. I will look into the good usage and the misuse of the language. Again, the filler and crutch words and sounds such as and, well, but, so, you know, basically, will be noted by me, as also repetitions. Example, I, this means, etc. Thank you, and over to you, TMOD.
Thank you, Srayashi. Here's the word of the day. It means showing dedication and diligence, in short. Srayashi, if you can put that in the chat for us, that'd be great. If you've already done that, that's good. If not, if you can put it in the chat. Thank you. Let me just check the chat. Yeah, okay. If you can do that for us in the chat. Ladies and gentlemen, here's the results of the survey currently. We will do the survey again towards the end of the meeting, just like we did 6 weeks ago. Self-awareness rates at the top highest, which is a good thing. Without self-awareness, there's no self-directedness. Number 2 is aligning personal and team goals. And number 3, and asking for help when needed. Team players, wonderful. Having a vision is, and then setting goals. Least of all is doing things on your own, and I like that. I think we are progressing in the right direction. You're not on your own, even though you're self-directed. Never think that you're on your own. It's always a team that helps you, as exactly as what Tony said in his toast, and what we are striving for in this club. So thank you so much for this participating in this survey. I will take a picture of it for our later on. There we go. And now the survey is closed. Thank you. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, now that we know sedulous, which means doing things with dedication and diligence, we have our timer, Hannah Schmidt, to explain to us the timing of the meeting.
Yes, good morning, Mr. Toastmaster of the day and everybody else. My role as a timer will be to time you very meticulously, and especially for your speeches. At 5 minutes, I'll do that one. At 6 minutes, I'll give you the yellow light. And at 7 minutes, I'll give you the red light, and then you have got 30 seconds to wrap up. And for the evaluators, I see you've got only 1 to 2 minutes, 1 minute, 2 minutes, and 3 minutes. And any other timing you will see on your agenda, and I will time you accordingly. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much for explaining to us the timing. We will move on to, of course, the most wonderful part that I really enjoy and why we are at Leadership Speak is the education session called Leadership Speak. And today to tell us a little bit about the education and what she's going to educate us about is Sandi Emlin. Her evaluator is Brent Pattinson. Sandi, in less than a minute, tell us what self-directedness means to you.
Sorry, may I just confirm, is the time still 10 to 15 minutes?
It is exactly as per the agenda, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Which is, of course, sorry, not per the agenda. This got changed somehow. If it says 10, 12, and 15, that's what it should be. There was an error in the agenda of 5, 6, and 7. Is that right, Sandi? It is about 15 minutes?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you very much.
Sorry,
We had
just
set it up, but there was an error and something happened in the agenda, so not a problem. Sandi, go ahead and tell us in less than 1 minute. What's
Sandi, how do you want to be timed? How do you want to be timed?
Green at 10, yellow at 12, and red at 14, since you asked. I don't know.
Okay, no problem, I'll do so.
As long as you show me the 3 of them, I will follow that. That's one of my objectives. Thank you very
Okay.
much, Hannah. Self-directed leadership in 1 minute, Hannah. Here's your practice run. Fellow Toastmasters and guests. Self-directed leadership is everything that was suggested to us in the poll. For me, it's about going first. And the hardest one that I'm learning is to stop getting ready, ask for help, and jump in the deep end, because whether you do or not, the meeting ends at noon or in a couple of hours. And for me, that's what it is. Thank you.
Thank you. Brent Pattinson is the evaluator. Brent, what is the objectives of Sandi?
The objectives of Sandi's speech today is she is doing a pathway speech with respect to the experience of connecting through networking. So the objectives of the speech are to convey to the audience how she was able to connect from a networking experience. Today, based on Sandi's feedback that she had sent me this morning, what she really was hoping to accomplish today is to be able to present a speech while standing and just be able to actually deliver a 15-minute speech and really help persuade this audience to be self-directed and take their networking skills up a notch. She would like to, in the future, present this speech utilizing technology, hopefully improving upon the speech based on whatever feedback we're able to provide her today. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you very much. I'll invite Sandi Emlin. Practice makes progress. Practice makes progress. Sandi Emlin.
Fellow Toastmasters and guests from around the world. Where were you 10, 20, 30, even 40 years ago with your networking skills? I want to share with you today where I was about 40 years ago. I was married to an engineer and I was a social worker. And as we began our new life, my husband kept being invited to these social events. And I wasn't that social. And believe it or not, I was shy in those days and I knew nothing about networking. And before we would go to one of these functions with usually 100 or more people, where he would be the host and the networker and the speaker or MC, I would ask him every time, when we get there, you're not going to leave me, are you? No, he would assure me, it'll be fine. Well, of course, you know how that turned out. When we got there, he was ushered here or there for some reason. And I want to tell you what I did 40 years ago. I would stand at the wall, or I'd wait till somebody approached me. Usually nobody did. I didn't look very friendly. I was probably looking so nervous. Sometimes I'd go to the bar and order a drink. And most of the time, I'd go to the washroom. And I'd hang out in the washroom in the stall for a while, come out, check everything was okay, and go out and look around for him. Truly, that's where I was 40 years ago. In my career, I didn't learn in school, university, or on the job how to even begin networking. But I can tell you that my boss or manager for the first 10 years of my career often asked me to go to a networking event. It might be a business chamber event. It might be other nonprofits. It might be to the city so that I could schmooze with people who had money that might consider funding our nonprofit organization. Truly, I detested networking. And from my mistakes, repeatedly, I still didn't learn anything. Fast forward many years, and I thought networking is really, like Brahm often says to us, it's about connections. It's about relationships. And so I started studying networking. And as a trainer, I created courses around networking. And I don't know about you, but the last 2 years, I haven't done much networking with the lockdowns and the shutdowns. And I just started, now that that's over, the last few weeks. And this week, the first week ever, because of this project, I reviewed the things that I had written and created previously. And I also practiced so that I would have a story or two to share with you today. When I did create content around networking, it was always around 3 things. What should you do before you go to a networking event? What should you do when you get there? And then most importantly, what should you do after the event? These are things I never learned before, and I want to share with you today based on my mistakes, which I'm loving actually making more of them because I'm in this supportive club where you can make them and then learn from them. If I was asked to go to a networking event for business, for work, I would generally, because I didn't like it, arrive after the start, arrive late. I would generally try to set up meeting with somebody there, a friend, so that I wouldn't be alone. If the friend wasn't coming with me, I would look for her at the event. And then the 2 of us would eat. They always have food and buffet and drinks, and we would catch up on our lives, and then we would leave. And that was my networking in those early days, 20, 30, 4 years ago. So what I've learned now, before you go to a networking event, make sure your needs are taken care of. I don't know what you're like, but if I don't eat on a regular basis, I get what they call hangry. If I go to an event and I haven't eaten and they have cocktails and schmoozing and networking and there's no food, all I think about, not all, sorry, I often am preoccupied by when is the food coming because I hadn't eaten. So here's a few tips for your next networking event if you should go to one in person. Make sure you've eaten. Make sure you've had a drink. Make sure you've gone to the bathroom. Make sure if you smoke, you've had one so that your needs are met. In those olden days, I used to show up not only late, not fed, not having my needs met, but I had so much on my mind that I really wasn't present to the event. I was thinking about things that I hadn't done or completed. I was thinking about things I had to do after the event, and I was hungry. Do you think I was in a good shape to be in a networking event? Well, before you go, Make sure your needs are met. Make sure you arrive early. This is something I didn't know for 20 years. Here's why. If you arrive early to a networking event, you get the best parking spot. If you're really early, you can finish off those tasks in the car, your emails, what have you. The second reason why it's so important and beneficial to arrive early, you get to meet the organizers. If you arrive early, that is the only time that there will be the least amount of people at the event. So you'll get the best parking spot. You'll get the best coat check. You'll get to choose where you want to sit. And for me, that's usually near the speaker. And you'll get to offer your help and introduce yourself to the organizers. Had I known this 20 years ago, wow, it's made a really big difference. So I hope you've learned a few things to do before you go. By the way, did I mention 2 other things I forgot to mention? Get ready today for your next event. Make sure you've got comfortable shoes. Make sure you've got something you look and feel good in. Check that every month, because sooner or later, you're going to be asked to our networking events, perhaps to give a toast, perhaps to MC, and you don't want to, on the day of the event or the day before, and yes, I did this many times, went through my entire closet, tried on, well, I'll just say 10 because I don't want you to know how many I really tried on, but gone through outfits that were too short, too tight, too loose, needed dry cleaning. Make sure you have something that you feel good in to wear. And if you want to be self-directed and really advanced, make sure you have 2 things to wear. And make sure you have something for every season. But really look at your closet, prepare to dress in something that you feel confident in way before your next networking event, and update it regularly, because that's something I learned too the last few years. Okay, you've gone to the event. Oh, sorry. And also know why you're going and have a few goals in mind. I didn't know that before either. I would show up at the event for the food and to meet a friend there. Sometimes we even got paid for it. Anyway, before you go to a meeting, make sure you know why you're going and who you'd like to meet. And even if it's one person, I'm going to this meeting because I have never been to a meeting with all of these Toastmasters in this club. And I definitely want to find out more about Nikita. So I'm going to say, I want to find out, when did she get married? How come she's in Spain? I have some things that I want to find out before I go. And I know that. That's just an example. So now you're at the event. You're early, you look good, you feel good, you got the greatest parking spot. Now you're going to walk into the event and you're going to meet some people. Make sure, I think I mentioned this earlier, not to hang out with who you came with. Make sure that you have at least 1 or 2 people you want to meet with and know why. And try not to hang out with the same person for the entire time, which is something, as you probably already know, I used to do. So I try to circulate in the room, and I've learned how to enter a conversation. I've learned how to politely leave a conversation. And most importantly, just don't sit in one spot and go first. After the event, which is most important, and I'm just learning about that, and I just did this morning before the meeting because I went to a networking event yesterday, is make sure you thank and make reference to the people that you were lucky enough to have a conversation with at that event. The follow up and the follow through is so important. And this point is for meetings, for networking, any of those times. Make sure it was really nice meeting you yesterday. Thank you for your time. I learned a lot about whatever that is, but the follow through is very important. So let me fast track the 40 years to present day. Present day, I now make a plan every week because COVID's over. But I guess if COVID came again, I would probably do this anyway, virtually. I plan every week, who do I know in my community or my networking that I really want to know more about? And so I have an appointment with somebody that I want to meet each week for the next 4 weeks to find out more about that person. I would never have done that before. So as a self-directed intern leader, I'm learning to go first and take that step in many areas of my life. And I would encourage you to do that as well. This week, I've made a personal commitment, and I'm going to invite you to do the same, kind of piggybacking on what Brahm has been encouraging us to do, and when he shares with us what his success is in coaching and creating these magnificent clubs really quickly, is make a plan and go first. Now, I'm going to do this, and I will say it in front of all of you here from around the world. This week, I am committed to making a networking or connecting date or appointment with Nikita, because Nikita's been teaching me about Zoom and about the Sergeant at Arms role. And by spending an hour with her on Zoom a few weeks ago, I learned so many things about Zoom, and it was almost like we were having coffee together. And I do know a little bit more about Nikita because we've shared time together. And I need to learn more things about the Sergeant at Arms role. So I'm going to make her first. But my plan is to get to every single one of you, one a week, because I want to know. Inquiring minds want to know. I want to know where you live. Why did you join? What can I show you? What can you show me? How can we connect so that we can make the club stronger? So my networking tips for now, I'm going to practice within this club so that I can get to know you better. And I think if we each did that, even on a chat perhaps, or meeting before this meeting or after, I think that there is a way, even virtually, that we can connect and we can network virtually and in person. For me, because of COVID, I'm out of practice. I really haven't left the building very much for 2 years. And the networking and the events that I've been to in the last couple of weeks have been nerve-wracking because you don't know whether to hug people, shake hands, fist pump, wear a mask. But I find communicating this way and networking this way now easier. But of course, you know why. This is our comfort zone now. And so for me, maybe for you, it's time to open the door and go back out in your community, find out what's going on, and meet some new people. Last week, I was at Rotary International and found a member of Rotary in my little town who is the governor-elect of the area or district. And he asked me about Toastmasters, and he joined my home club this week. He's retired. He was a mayor for 30 years of a small town. I wouldn't even have approached him 10 years ago. And I went first. I put my hand out. I said, "Hi, I'm Sandi. Who are you?" And he told me, and he joined our club after one meeting. So the sky is the limit. I think we can build and grow this club, our businesses, our personal and professional network by following these tools. Before you go, prepare. When you're at the event, mingle. And after the event, be sure to follow up with someone that you connected with, because practice makes progress. Mr. Toastmaster.
Wow. Simply refreshing to hear about networking. I'd studied networking 25 years ago. I read many books on it. You refreshed my memory. And you're absolutely right. Connect, follow up. So I would encourage all of our members to sort of connect with other members during the week. Say, I'd like to know Surayashi. I like to know Brent. I like to know Peggy. I like to know Marianna. Now, of course, I know every one of them, and I connect with all of you, as you know, on a constant basis. Sometimes I will just say, hey, how are you? Hope all is well. Even that, I just do that. And so this week, try to get to know somebody and network with somebody within the club so that there's a connection, because you're all team players and team players ought to know each other and be sedulous about it at the same time. Now, the other thing I would like to suggest is that as a sedulous, self-directed leaders, please have your videos on, because the speaker needs to see faces, and it's good to see faces when you're speaking to them. Our next speaker is Marianna Burka, and our evaluator is Françoise Brahm. Françoise, do you know the objectives and what Marianna is going to speak about?
Thank you so much, CGD Brahm, Françoise Brahm. I know it's a tongue twister name, but don't worry, everyone's going to get it correct. Don't worry. All right. So I'm so happy that I'm so happy that I will be evaluating TM Marianna, and her speech. The purpose of her project is to learn or review basic methods for writing a speech with a defined purpose and to present a well-organized speech on any topic. She will be doing her presentation by using technology. Her speech title is called The Good, the Bad, and the Depressing. I repeat, her speech title is entitled The Good, the Bad, and the Depressing. The virtual letter is back over to you, Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. Speech is for 5 to 7 minutes. Marianna, before we introduce you formally to do the speech, in less than a minute, tell us what self-directedness means to you.
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. And self-directedness is self-confidence, not to be afraid to present ourselves or set a goal and go for it, go on after it. And in case we need it, we do have to ask for help. So that is in short. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. Marianna Burka, The Good, the Bad, and the Depressing. The Good, the Bad, and the Depressing. Marianna Burka.
Good morning, Mr. Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests. I am a small person, 5'6"-ish, if I wear one of these. Without these, I am only 5'2". Not very much. But my appetite is like I was 6'3", a big person, and that gets me in trouble with my scale regularly. And my scale, it's not just tells me my weight, but it also tells me how much fat my body has and how much of that percentage in my body weight. And that is quite depressing. So regularly, this time of the year, just before my May birthday and the subsequent summer season, I have to readjust my eating style. I am a nutritionist, so I do know weight management inside and outside. Yet I get into these issues of extra weight. And this spring, I went somewhere I never went before. And I did something I never did before. I stopped eating. Did any of you? I just heard that some people get hungry or Did anyone here, just raise your hand, did a fast, a whole day fast before? How about 2 days of fast? How about 3? And 4? 5? And that was my original plan. I figured I tried to do a 5-day fast. And that means no food, no my special latte, just water with a bit of salt and lemon juice and 1 green tea every day. And I did my first ever 5-day fast. But what happened on the 6th day morning, I felt fine. I wasn't hungry. I had energy. So I went forward. And the next day, I woke up and I still felt good. I wasn't hungry. I didn't even miss my special latte. So I did it. And I was very proud of myself. I did not eat anything for a week. And I felt wonderful. And before you feel sorry for me, look at this gentleman. He did 382 days of fast. And he lost, in that time, 276 pounds. That's about twice of my weight now. So it's not impossible to fast. And during that week, while I wasn't eating, I did check a couple of things, how my body works. Just too good to know, and curiosity, and I am a professional after all. So I checked my glucose, make sure it's not going too low. I checked my ketones, not because I had to, but I just love to see how much ketones I have in my body. And of course, I checked my weight. And it was going down appropriately. And that was a wonderful news. And I lost in 1 week almost 10 pounds. That was wonderful. But when I looked at my body composition, I only lost half of that from fat. And that was a bit of a depressing thing. And the other half was water and body mass. But I know that will come back. But in the meantime, it was a bit sad. Fasting is not hard. You just stop eating. Easy. But when you start eating again, that is important, especially after 4 or 5 days and more, because your body just stopped using and digesting things. So you have to gently reintroduce food. What you see on the screen, it's 5 bottles of juice and 5 eggs. And that was my first day, all day eating in 5 separate portions. And it filled me up, absolutely. And then the second day, I just made soup with chicken. And from 3rd day on, I ate with my daughter, but still tried to be portion controlled. It was a wonderful experience. And scientists say that all these things you can read as comes from fasting. These are benefits of fasting. You cannot really feel it in your body, except maybe the weight loss. But you know it's there. So will I do it again? Definitely. I decided it was such a wonderful, accelerating experience. I'm gonna do this twice a year. Question is, should you do it? And then again, I would say, yes, you should do it, but not right away, unless you're practiced faster of 1 day, 2 days, and 3 days. You shouldn't start a 7-day fast, but you should start with intermittent fasting first. Do a 1 day, 2 day here and there. And when your fasting muscles are strong enough, go for a week. Thank you very much and good luck.
Don't eat for a week. Oh my goodness, that's a challenge. I think I'm going to do a fast for a day. I already do intermittent fasting. I've been intermittent fast for about 3 to 4 years. I don't eat between 6 p.m. and 12 noon the following day. So we'll see. This is a challenge for me. I need to lose a little bit of waist around my waist. Lots of fat. Oh my goodness. You know, the pandemic, right? And not too much movement. Our next sedulous speaker is, who is it? It's Peggy Onlock, I believe. Yes. And to evaluate Peggy Onlock is Fercy Gotuako. Fercy, what is the objectives or the purpose of the speaker?
Thank you, Mr. Toastmaster. Peggy Onlock is going to be doing a speech from Pathways Engaging Humor. She's going to be doing the evaluation and feedback, the second one, where she is taking feedback from having done the speech previously, incorporating it into the speech, and then trying to move forward with it, because I've discovered that she would like to do the speech again at another club. Some of her goals outside of Toastmasters are to be a speaker for events supporting those with mental health challenges. I will try to help her with her storytelling to satisfy those desires as well. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Fercy. Before I introduce Peggy's speech, Peggy, in less than a minute, what is self-directed to you? What does it mean?
Mr. Club Growth Director Brahm, self-directed leadership to me means being very self-aware of yourself first, because I saw in the chat earlier this meeting, if you can't lead yourself, it's very difficult to lead others as well. So the first thing I see about self-directed leadership is knowing yourself and how to adjust your style to those other members in your team, because it is really important that you also give them the opportunity to lead. One of my favorite leadership quotes goes something to the effect that when you're leading a project, one of the most satisfying things is for the team members who are on your team to know that they are the ones who completed the project. You were there as a lead, but the real work was done by those around you. Back to you, Brahm.
Thank you very much. A quick note to the guests. I see a lot of people are arriving during the meeting, so we'll be talking to all the guests at the end. Peggy Onlock, it is important to lead your own story. It is important to lead your own story, Peggy Onlock.
And I am just going to try and screen share here as well. So if you just give me a moment. I think I've given away my presentation before I even start, but that's all right. And I will apologize first because for some reason my computer is going very slow. How many of you really enjoy stories? I know I do. Storytelling is something that I've really been interested in since I was a little girl. And I still love stories, both telling and listening to them. When I was younger, my favorite subject was always history. And it had a big impact on me from my own personal life to those around me as well. when I went to university, I decided to major in history. Now, history is a story. As most of you are aware, back in the day, history, the word itself comes from his story. As we were in a very male-dominated world, we still are to some extent. And the story was told by the historian. And history is something that takes the facts around us, but it's always from the writer's perspective. So these are several of the books that I took in history. And one of them was a history of Ireland, mostly in the 18th century. And I went up to modern times as well. One of my majors was medieval history. So a lot of the stories and the history were based on the epics, the sagas from years before, mostly written by monks and religious folk, because they were the only ones who knew how to record, who knew how to write. Now, the second book, From Empire to Welfare State, this was by Professor Trevor Lloyd, who was a historian from Britain. He taught labor history at the University of Toronto, and he was a very good storyteller. But the one thing I remember most of him, the first day he came into class, with me being an impressionable, probably in my 20s, he came in with a staunch British Oxford accent. He had the black Oxford robe on, and needless to say, I was a little bit intimidated. But he really eased the crowd, the audience, the students, when he told us a story about why he wore his graduation or his academic gown during his speeches and his lectures. He told us that over in Britain, you always wore your Oxford gown when you were teaching at Oxford, but he wore it at the University of Toronto, not because he had to, but because he often leaned up against the chalkboard and he didn't want to get the chalk on his jacket. So of course that really eased the stress a little bit. We thought, okay, this guy's a real human being. He's a nice guy. And he was probably one of the most effective lecturers I've had. And it was probably the most impactful course that I took at the University of Toronto during that time. Now, history back in those days, it didn't teach a complete history. So I was taking a lot of Irish history at the time, and it was very one-sided. Now, when I moved up to Aurelia back in 2004, I also learned that the Aboriginal or Indigenous people's history in Canada was something that was not told. And I missed that part of my education as a young student in Ontario, Canada. But I was fortunate enough to live near Rama First Nation, and the casino there would often have educational events where people from around the communities would come and share their history, share their story. And I was able to purchase these two books of all places at Casino Rama in Rama First Nation. So it's just so important that we share those stories and get to know each other better. I myself am a writer. One of the things I've been doing for decades now, yes, you heard that right, decades, is writing my own story. So when that Oxford gown came off by the professor, I was able to show my true self, who was a kid who grew up in the 60s and 70s in a period that was a little bit, I think we were getting to know our own voices. And I was also able to put on a shawl that I got from one of the people that I met at Rama. And it was just so meaningful to me and kept me warm and taught me the true value of knowing what it's all about to share our histories with each other. My own book is called The Blue Canary. Now, some of you may be aware that the blue canary is a metaphor for the mining industry previously, and it's also used nowadays for some of the first responses that people deal with when there's danger involved. The canary is a bird that was put into a mine, and if it turned blue, we knew that it was not safe to go into that place. So that poor person who got to go there first often paid an ultimate price for some of the things that we wanted to avoid. But as I started writing my own story, I was bringing in some of the other colors of the birds around us and nature around us that told me you didn't have to go and face that danger all alone, that going and requesting help is something that you could do, and it brought fuller color to the canary that I was writing about. One of those canaries in my book is me. I think for a while there, I turned blue, and I'm finally beginning to show a little more of the color within me. It went all the way to having a full scale of color where you would have the pinks, the reds, the blues, the purples, and the blacks and the whites and the browns and every other color that we combined to make this wonderful world. And it was something that allowed me to grow and create my own narrative and bring those colors to life. The canary itself finally became its true self, where it was a yellow canary that was able to tell its own story. And I was able to bring the story out in me and share it to other people without absolutely devastating myself. So that was a really great way for me to grow. And I'm hoping one of these days I can really share that story with you even more. It's important to tell your story. Back to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
You're muted, Brahm.
Thank you. Thank you for the reminder. I was just saying that please switch on your videos. Is a respect sign to the speaker. I think I should move my microphone closer. Now I suppose you can hear me better. Be sedulous in turning on your videos. Ladies and gentlemen, we still have one more speaker, and then we will vote for the best or the best effort speaker. And the next speaker is, if I can say her name correctly, Maria de la Luz Sanchez Perez. Did I say that right?
Yes, and I go by Luz Sanchez. Thank you.
Luz Sanchez, thank you. Well, and I will introduce you formally as Luz Sanchez. Before I do that, we have an evaluator for for Luz Sanchez, and it is Bud Brown. But what are the objectives?
Thank you, Brahm. Liz has a number of objectives. The basic objectives of her project in the path that she is in, which is presentation mastery, and she's on the at the stage of the introduction to mentorship. So the speech is to be about a time when she was a protege. It could be from any time in her life. She may discuss any aspect of the protege experience. What she is to avoid is reporting on the content of the project Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring. Liz has also suggested to me that there's a number of speaking objectives in general that she's looking to make sure that she is growing in these areas. So she wants us to watch for structure in her speech, enunciation, articulation of words, pausing. Was the speech inspirational or persuasive? And what emotions did it evoke? In other words, this is what I was talking about last week in my speech, the idea that we should be listening to anybody's speech and reflecting on how it makes us feel and why, and then sharing that with them. So if you're sending comments to Liz afterwards, keep that in mind. Back to you, Brahm.
Thank you, Bud. Before we formally announce Luz Sanchez with her speech, Luz, in your own words, in less than a minute, what's self-directed to you?
Yes, self-directed leadership for me is to recognize my core values, my principles, my thoughts, my words, my emotions, and have everything in alignment. And constantly I check myself to, and if I course correct. So yeah, that's through discipline and trying to have a high performance all the time, and also self-awareness. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Luz. Luz Sanchez, leaders have mentors. Leaders have mentors, Luz Sanchez.
Mr. Toastmasters, fellow Toastmasters, and most honored guests. Do you remember when you had a mentor that impacted your life? In Toastmasters, we know that for a leader, for a leadership growth, it's essential to have mentorship. Mentorship is actually one of the pillars of Toastmasters. And mentorship goes way beyond, way back to ancient Greek philosophy. Socrates was a mentor of Plato. Plato was a mentor of Aristotle. And today, still in Western society, we have this influence from Greek philosophy. I found my mentor through Toastmasters. And at that time, it was the best thing that happened to me. I got the call and I answered it. In my first meetings, I fall in love with inspirational stories, fellow members, and they gave me a hope to improve my communication skills. The mentor that was assigned to me took his role very seriously. He was a person that was there for me when I took in my speaking journey. I was awe of his delivery. I found that he was a performer, he was a clown, and before even Toastmasters. During the speeches that he gave, I remember one especially about, he gave many daring speeches, especially one that I remember, it was called, "I am not a racist." He explained that, he confessed that he found a Ku Klux Klan outfit in one of his closest relatives when he was young. So, that shocked me, right? But later on, he became aware of racism. So he gave many speeches about racism. And then he became an English as a second language teacher here for immigrants in California. I remember him telling me, "Luz, you will find your voice." His mentorship went above and beyond for me and other mentees. Usually, he was always dressed in purple because he was a spiritual man. All his PowerPoint presentations were in purple. And whenever we had contests, he wore this robe that was purple. We had many talks, spiritual talks, and besides speaking about speaking leadership and how to improve as an narrator, we had talks about many subjects, right? But what I noticed about him, that he was a great listener. He was aware of all my fears about public speaking. And when these doubts and fears crept in me, he would tell me to find the goddess within me and show it to the world through my speaking, my style of dressing, and also my presence. Because he there is there to give daring speeches, he challenged me to challenge myself, to be vulnerable when giving my speeches, to find my voice, my authentic voice, to speak unapologetically, and to speak with power. In Mexico, I never had a mentor. I didn't know, sorry, just gonna find my timer here. I didn't know what was to have a mentor. I went from English as a second language classes all the way to the university, through the university in 13 years, and I never heard about mentors. I heard about teachers, tutors, and advisors, but never a mentor. Richard was there at my first speeches, was there when I competed in contests, and he was an example of leadership. And that's the reason I took on many different leadership roles. Unfortunately, Richard passed away 1 month before I got my DTM. In tears, I spoke at his funeral on Zoom during the pandemic. When I received my DTM, I realized that everything was about the journey, not the destination. Didn't really feel meaningful at that time. However, I came back to Toastmasters a few weeks ago, and the best way to honor Richard Dixon, it is to continue speaking, to challenge myself the way he challenged me, and to find and show the goddess to the world. Today, I invite you, if you had a mentor that had impacted your life like he impacted my life, I invite you to become that mentor when it is time for you to carry of his legacy. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Luz, for opening your heart and about your mentor. And I'm so sorry to hear about your mentor. May he rest in peace. Or my deepest sympathies. So it probably was a hard speech to do for you, I'm sure. But thank you so much for being vulnerable, open, and doing this very hard speech today. Thank you so much. Really appreciated it. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now at time of break. I know we are running late because I'm taking my time to introduce the speakers well and speak to the team at the same time. So we are running a little late. However, we'll still take a 3-minute break. And during the break, there's one thing that I didn't do was at the end of every speech, there's usually 1 minute silence for the audience to give feedback to the evaluator. So, to the speaker. So if you want to give a speaker any feedback, we'll break for 3 minutes while we talk to our guests briefly, make them feel comfortable and welcome, and you can give your feedback to the speakers if you wish at the time. So, Madam Timer, 3 minutes, please.
Certainly, Mr. Toastmaster of the Day. Sandy's speech was 15 minutes, 19 seconds. Marianna, 7 minutes, 12 seconds. Peggy, 7 minutes, 40 seconds. And Maria, 7 minutes, 32 seconds. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you. And now give me 3 minutes. We'll go for the voting after the 3 minutes is over. Okay. And thank you so much for putting me and correcting me. I appreciate it. Thank you. So let's break for 3 minutes and we'll be back, and then we'll vote at the same time for the speakers when we come back.
Did you say 3 minutes?
3 minutes
1, 2, 3.
on the
Okay.
timer. Thank you. Now, let's see if we have any guests here that would like to talk to us before or now. We will also have a brief business session where Vinod will make an announcement towards the end. So about our club. Brahm, welcome to the club.
Thank
Good to see
you.
you
Good
back.
morning, Brahm.
Yeah, we have Ajitha Sivam. Hi, Ajitha.
Hi,
Good
good
to
evening,
see you.
everyone.
Yeah, we'll talk to you further at the end of the meeting. I just wanted to say hello. We have Ursula Willock. Hi, Ursula. And then we have Yvonne Codrington. Welcome all. Thank you. And Anusha. Hi, Ursula.
Thank you.
And Anusha. Is that Anusha Khurana from Delhi?
Yeah, that's Anusha. Hi,
Welcome.
thank you.
Colin Sherland. Welcome. At one point in time, we had David Bray, but he's not in the meeting anymore. I think he's not in the meeting anymore. Peggy, to answer your question in the chat, the timer is usually spotlighted alongside you at the green, yellow, and then at the red it remains on. So you don't have to worry about pinning or whatever. We have a way of I think the table topic master is primed to ask only members who have no roles or minor roles, and then some guests. So we'll leave that to the table topic master. Thank you, Sandi, for that question in the chat. 1 more minute, and then we begin. First, how's it going?
It's going well, thanks.
I didn't see your cat, but I saw Sandy's cat, and then I saw Luz Sanchez's cat. Even though her background was blurred out, we saw the cat moving in the background. So we didn't see.
You know, I've redesigned the back of my room so that I can stand and do my speeches without the table in the way. And so now they got nothing to crawl on. Now they're crawling over there. So no more impromptu catwalks. I'm doing well. I spent all day at school in the theater getting ready for my musical, which is next weekend.
Oh, really? Oh, wow.
Is
that musical in English or in Chinese, in Mandarin, or?
It is in English. It is in English.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is it put by your students, or is it a real show that people are?
It is. We've got the students in it. We have grades 6 through 12, dancing, singing, acting, doing tech, helping us build everything, doing the lighting. They're having a blast. And then I even carved out a little song to invite the faculty to come and dance with the kids on stage for one little number. They always love that.
Please invite us. If it is not during our during our meeting time, we would love to come and attend if it is available too. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I think we have our time's up as the timer is telling us, so we will move on to, if you will, quickly quickly is the right word. Vote for the best speaker, and I will put that on. Let's see, speaker. Here you are. I'll launch the speaker, and while you are voting for the best speaker, best effort speaker, not the best speaker, the best effort speaker, let's be sedulous, and I invite Wesley Hillstrom to do the table topics. And Wesley, in 30 seconds, you will also tell us what self-directed means to you. Over to you, Wesley Hillstrom.
Self-directed means to me is self-awareness and working with a team. I've had an opportunity to be a self-directed leader in a high-performance leadership project I just completed. But it's all those elements of being self-aware and working with a team in helping the team grow as a unit, in which everyone, in doing that, every individual member grows as well. So that's pretty much sums up what my thoughts on self-directed behavior.
Wesley, go ahead. I mean, it's all yours, sorry.
Should I go to table topics right now?
Yes, sorry.
All right. Okay, there. Do we have time for 6 participants?
We have time for 4, I think, so.
Yeah, make it 4, otherwise we get too late.
All right. I need to see the screen to see who would like to participate. Who would like to participate in table topics, may I ask? Okay, I'll just call.
We have Nikita. Nikita is first, and then Anusha.
Nikita and who?
Anusha. You can see the hands up on screen there.
Okay, I'll just pick a couple of others.
Sure.
This Toastmaster, Toastmaster is a yes. Table Topics offers a great opportunity for Toastmasters to use their imaginations and have some fun. So let's see how we can use our imaginations and have a little fun, as we know that our founder, Ralph Smedley, said that learning is done best in times of enjoyment. So let's explore that. Here's a scenario. I'm leading an archaeological expedition in the Andes Mountains of southeastern Peru. My team is comprised of very cityless individuals, quite fortunately. And as we reach a clearing amid some rolling hills. In the center of a clearing is a large hexagonal arrangement of impressively large carved boulders. In the center of each hexagonal face is a path leading outward from the center of the hexagonal structure to a cave. 4 members of my team want to explore one of the caves that they picked. Toastmaster Anusha, please describe what you found in the cave that you explored.
Well, I was the one to go into the first cave, and that cave was a darkened cave in which there was nobody. But wait, was there really nobody there? A quick look, a closer look at the rocks, and there you saw little dancing figurines etched on the rocks, beautifully etched, so much so that the convolutions of the movement were so evident. They seemed to be sliding in a fluidity, in a kind of a graceful dance, which they were executing. And you could make out that they were men and they were women, and they were dancing in a circle. Beyond that, you could see the hills and the mountains, which had been executed with equal finesse. And in this, you saw the rising sun. When you saw the rising sun, you also saw that there were little birds which were rising, as though rising like the phoenix and edging out and flying out into the horizon. Those were the birds of hope. For all these people were living in the olden ages, and they were really facing tough times. When they were facing tough times, they used to try and come out of the tough times by dancing, by putting in an effort, and by sending the message across to us that where there is difficulty, there is always hope. So whenever they were faced with some difficult task, all they used to do was get together, play some music on their primitive instruments and dance. And then the birds would fly, the children would cry, and people would die with laughter and happiness. That was the ecumenical and the most perfect scene which used to be carved out in the tough times in which these cavemen lived. And that's how they survived. Back to the table topics master.
That was very interesting. Nikita, can you tell me what you saw in your cave?
I entered my cave. It was dark, not just inside the cave, but it was dark inside my mind. I think I froze. I've never been in a cave. There was so much space. It was a whole new world. Underground. What decisions did I make that led me here to this moment? My heart felt so much peace. My mind, clarity. I felt that I was out of the world. You know why? No, you know what? I thought about something about the caveman. I think there's a philosopher. And his story is that the men are stuck in the cave and they think that their reflections are other people. But because I have been outside of the cave, I've been enlightened to be inside the cave, seeing the cave not as an enclosed space, but as a space where I feel free. It was a different experience for me. I love caves. I think I'm in a dream. Is this real? Or am I dreaming? Oh, wait, it's a table topics. Sorry, it's a table topic. Back to you, table topics master.
Vinod, could you tell me what you saw in your cave?
I would like to give this opportunity to somebody else, Wesley, because I am the general evaluator. I would be speaking.
Oh, all right.
Thank you. Thank you.
Ram Lakanpal has his hand up. Ram. Wesley? Ram.
Ram?
Mr. Table Topic Master, fellow Toastmasters, guests, and everybody else that are here. The cave. We think of cave as a scary place. My experience is totally different. When I entered that cave, I entered with something that I had in mind. I had envisioned as a child in entering a cave sometime, but this cave was somewhat different. As soon as I entered, about maybe just a few inches there, I saw a lake. A lake that consisted of living organisms, nothing out of the ordinary. And on top of the cave, I saw two things. There were birds flying, seeing in their darkness. Not the bats, but these were celestial beings, beings from the outer world that I've never seen before. But protruding from the corner of the eye, I could see that there was a little light, that light of the sun. And that light was really helping me enter the cave a little bit more and more. And I was brave, yet alone, but I wasn't afraid. I got around the lake. But at the end, I saw that it was worthwhile going there. And I did not rush back, but I took my time in ensuring that this cave will be safe for others that may want to come someday and see the wonderful nature that Creator has created for all of us to experience, not only lakes, but so many other things in life. Experience it. And that would be my lovely experience of the cave that I've remembered as a child and even today. Mr. Table Topic Master.
Thank you. And Colleen, would you like to tell us what you saw in your cave? Or okay, let's see. Ursula, would you like to tell us what you saw in your cave? Okay,
Wesley,
how about
who are you calling on? Sorry, we can't quite hear you. Who did you call on right now?
Ursula?
Farsi?
Ursula.
Ursula Willock. Well, her video is off, so we don't know whether she's around. So you may ask somebody who's got their video on, if you wish.
All right, Brent, would you like to tell us what you saw in your cave?
Sorry, Wes, I am setting up for an evaluation.
Oh, that's right.
You can call Ajita, Wesley.
Sorry?
May I interrupt?
Ajita.
Okay, that sounds good.
All right, let her be the last one, please.
All right. Ajita? Well, I think, Tony, you have to
I'll
tell us
give
what
it a
you saw.
shot. I'll give it
Okay.
a shot. I was a young kid and I walked into this cave and I had claustrophobia. and I was terrified. The world was closing in on me, and I walked deeper and deeper into this cave. I could not hold it back anymore, and I started to whimper, you know, like a little baby. I started to cry. Then a skeleton arm reached out and brushed my face, and I let it go, and I screamed, I howled. And everybody around me was laughing and laughing because this cave was inside a Halloween house, and it was scary night. And everybody thought that I was just playing the game, but I wasn't. I was terrified. And that cave kept me awake off and on for quite a while. And maybe that's something I need to revisit again to see if I can conquer. Maybe I just have to get that cave out of my mind. Thank you.
Very nice. Then at some point, all the explorers came back to the center of the hexagon, gave their explanations, and I tried to make sense out of that. And it made, after some thought, it made perfect sense. And just as I was about to give my explanation, the alarm clock rang, and I woke up, and it all evaporated. Mr. Toastmaster.
Thank you, Wesley. That was sedulously done. Very well done. Thank you for a very unique way of doing table topics. Really, I really enjoyed the concept of the caves. I was thinking, of course, of Plato's cave or something, you know, and his allegory, whatever that was. So, but thank you very much. Very, very well done. With that, we will now move on to Madam Timer to tell us the timing, and then we'll vote for the best table topics.
Certainly, certainly. Anusha, 1 minute 59. Nikita, 2 minutes 8 seconds. With Brahm, I had a short power failure, but I think it was about 2 minutes something. And Tony, 1 minute and 5 seconds. Over to you, Mr. Toastmaster of the day.
Thank you very much. I will launch the table topics. Here we go. You can vote for the best effort in table topics. And while you're voting for the best effort in table topics, I will move this over to our general evaluator, Memone, who will tell us about self-directedness and take over the role at the same time. Memone, it is all yours.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster of the day, Brahm. For me, before telling what is self-directed leadership, according to me, I would say that leadership for me, it starts with you and continues with others. And you bought that element of team today. So that was amazing. For me, self-directed leadership is mainly about being intentional. So the word intentionality is very key for me when I talk about leadership, being intentional to grow, being intentional to serve, and being intentional to do it every day, because leadership is a practice and it has to be done every day. And from here, I would be taking and calling up my team of evaluators. I have an amazing team of evaluators and timer and grammarian supporting me today. So let me call upon the first evaluator who would be evaluating the leadership speaker today, Toastmaster Brent. Toastmaster Brent would be evaluating Toastmaster Sandi. So Toastmaster Brent, the screen is yours.
Practice makes progress. Today, we had the benefit of really seeing that demonstrated that through sedulous practice, you can deliver an exceptional speech. What was it about Sandi's speech today that demonstrated that sedulous practice? One, her background was meticulously set. The neutral tones, the good lighting, the simplicity of the background, the perfect timing of the cat upon the entry of the screen, fantastic. The other thing that really is demonstrated through Sandi's speech today, and the practice of it, is the meticulous eye contact that she was able to make with the audience. Not only that, embedded within the content of her speech, she was able to engage with the audience by specifically calling out a member of the audience and referencing Nikita. And then later in the speech, letting the audience know that she was going to be reaching out to contact us to really build upon the networking skills that she demonstrated. It was really well executed as a speech. What could have still improved it even better, one of the things Sandi had mentioned is that she was working on standing. As you can see, I'm standing right now. And in my standing position, I have most of my body in the frame. See, Sandi's got good use of her body language. It's natural and she uses natural hand language, but it still almost was if she was off screen. If we're going to deliver a standing speech, a good rule of thumb would be to start from about the belly button up within the camera frame so that you can get that full use, especially if you're going to be working on incorporating body language into your speech. One other thing that I thought could have improved the content of the speech is a little bit more detail on the how. This was a 15-minute speech, and maybe a little bit more detail on the how to mingle appropriately, and a little bit more detail on the how to follow up effectively after the meeting. I thought it was an exceptionally well-delivered detail of what to do to prepare for a networking event, but a little bit more detail on the how to do the mingling and the follow-up probably just would have made that speech more complete, because it was really exceptionally done. And the simplicity of really focusing on those three things was also very core. Now, Sandi, to really challenge yourself for improving upon this already exceptional speech that was exceptionally well delivered would be to really embellish the story that set up that history of who you were as a networker before. Maybe really go into putting your audience into the situation of that example of you attending a conference with your husband. Incorporate some dialogue and really set the stage and make us imagine being part of that event and experiencing it with you. But you did an exceptional job throughout. What I really like the most about your speech is your speaking. It is so natural. It really resonates. Your facial expressions, your hand language, but the tone of your voice throughout is so natural and engaging and really makes the audience comfortable because of how comfortable and confident you are in your speech. Thank you very, very much, and I look forward to seeing the next version of this speech. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Brent. And I will follow the tradition of what's happening in our club, that I would give the feedback to the evaluators immediately after they give the feedback. So I think a new thing that you have started, the evaluators giving standing up and evaluating. The strength that you pointed out on in Sandi's is she's a natural speaker. It looks, she is very happy while she is speaking. She wants to speak. And I look mainly for the points of improvement for the evaluation. And you rightly pointed out, as Toastmasters manual also, if you go to the speech contest, it says waist up. The speaker should always, at least we should see them waist up. And second is how to. Amazingly said. If I want to add something is more on the detailing, right? What Brent pointed out, specifically you spoke about Nikita that connected to us. So you could tap tease and transport when you arrived late, arrived early, or you had food and you went, and something like that, where you took a specific example that this is the time when I broke that shackles of networking and I decided I will go early, I will do this, I will do that, with a specific conference name or something like that. So that specificity would have helped, I thought that. And Brent, you have done an amazing job. We gave the point of improvement as well as gave her a challenge. And definitely you have inspired Sandi to come the next time and speak. So amazing job. So thank you very much. A big round of applause to our first evaluator. Let's call upon the second evaluator, Toastmaster Francois. I hope I am pronouncing it correct. She would be evaluating Toastmaster Marianna. Toastmaster Francois. Do we have, okay, just a second. Toastmaster, okay, I think she may be just like what you say, not on the screen. So what we will do is we'll keep the second evaluation on hold. Let's move on, let the show continue. Let's go to the third speaker and the evaluator. The third evaluator is Toastmaster Fuse, who would be evaluating Toastmaster Peggy. Toastmaster Fuse.
The silent words and thoughts were so loud, they were almost deafening. For so long, they just screamed to come out, but I just couldn't seem to let them flow out of my mouth so I could finally be free of them. These are the words of our speaker, Peggy Onlock. Peggy, you have a great mastery of words. When you said that you were a storyteller, a writer, I think you found exactly who you were in your life. And my challenge to you, I'm going to cut straight to the chase, Peggy. My challenge to you is to take all of that and bring it all to your speech. I mean, all of it, all of it, all of it, and make us drink from the fire hydrant. Peggy, you've got such a wonderful talent for words, but I feel like you may have filtered much of that in giving us the speech. And I felt like you had to put yourself in a box for what a speech was. And you're so much better than that. So get rid of the box and get rid of whatever it is you think you have to be as a speaker. And instead, crank it out. Give us everything you got because you're fantastic. Fantastic. I appreciate how you sedulously are working to support those with mental health challenges. And I know you're going to be able to bring your talent to those people and give them these stories. Fantastic. Your information was so rich. Even the historical part of it, so rich. I want more of that. About the canary, the shawl, love it. I love the humor with the chalk on his jacket. Oh, keep it coming. Give us more, give us more, give us more. We thirst for that, Peggy. We thirst for that. The calmness in you, your gravitas. It's good, it's good. The resonance in your voice, very nice. I will say it could work, you could work a little harder to make it just a tad bit clearer. And there was something in your technology that I couldn't quite get it. It felt a little warbly. And so if we could work on that. A couple other things to think about working on. Gestures. Tell the story with your hands. Control our eye focus. You don't need the PowerPoint, the presentation. You didn't need that, Peggy. Oh, that was child's play. You didn't need that. I'm not even sure that you needed the shawl either. Child's play. Throw it away. Examine the structure of your speech. Transfer all of your storytelling abilities to your speaking abilities. You don't have to tell us in chronological order. I also felt like the speech had two parts to it. Let's see if we can combine it all. So great bricks, let's get the mortar, bring us everything that you are capable of because we want more of it. Back to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Fuse, for that motivating and energetic evaluation. Again, you pointed out, you cut the chase and directly started giving the points of improvement. And the first was, I also felt that Peggy has got a lot of humor. She can be a really good humorous speaker. And she needs to explore that option. And here, the evaluator pointed it out correctly. Technology, means even in the meetings before, I have felt there is a slight echo in your sound, maybe because of the place that you sit, it is between, and there's a lot of open area. It may be due to that. You can use a headset to counter that. That could be helpful. Again, I also truly believe that the power is in the point, not in the PowerPoint. So try to use as many as your voice and gestures as possible. The structure, I would have loved to hear more about the metaphor, the canary. I felt that was very powerful, and that came a bit late about after the history. I tried somewhere in some other speech, bringing it and like what you say, explaining it. It was really powerful. It really connected, and a very good evaluation by our evaluator, giving the points of improvement and giving something to challenge. Thank you very much for that. And let me call upon the second evaluator. Let me see whether she is back. Toastmaster Francis.
Hi, I'm back in. Okay, let's get ready.
Okay, over to you.
We know technology, and when technology happens, all we can do is just go with the flow. That's all we can do. So I'm driving, and I'm pleased to give my evaluation of TM Marina's presentation. And let me give my evaluation feedback of it. And I hope
is it
everyone
safe?
can hear me.
Is it safe to give it, Francis? Francis?
Well, I'm currently the passenger, not the driver. So
Yeah, then it is
right
fine.
now.
Please go ahead.
Yes. Yes. All right. So you can hear me well. All right. So Tia Marina, you excel at presenting a clearly defined content that flowed from beginning to end. You made the audience engage with you from the beginning of your speech. And this is something we as leaders always want to remember. What you may want to work on in sharing through screen share and desiring to show something through the camera lens. There are two options that we can do. We can, one, let the audience know quickly with a word. Take a look at me off the slide for a moment because you shared something with a shoe, and I'm certain not everyone noticed you had a high heel shoe. And the second one, you can share a photo of the item. Where would you like to challenge yourself? And this is for all of us. Sharing life stories is bravery to the speaker. If confident enough, we can share photos of ourselves, past and present. We may believe everyone understands metrics, but we also have visual audiences to cater to. So it was really nice to show the I would say the maths of the weight that would have gained and lost and things like that. But I'm always mindful that we're catering to different leaders with different ways of learning. And one of them is visual. So we as leaders must be mindful to share photos of things for our visual audience. And that is my feedback, my evaluation of Tia Marina. And have a great day, everyone. Back over to you.
Thank
the
you.
virtual lectern is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much for giving that evaluation from your car. Thank you very much, Francis. Appreciate that. So basically, what our evaluator has said it so to use visuals more effectively, keeping in mind about who the audience was. Now, from my side, if I want to add, I had mentioned about a speech structure about Bill Gove is called as the father of public speaking, the first president of National Speaker Association. So it has 4 models that this is where I was, this is what happened, this is what I did, this is where I am now. And I somehow felt your speech had all that elements, that this is where I was heavy, this is what happened was something that I was missing. Because you just said that I went on the weight and got depressed, but I would have loved an incident where you felt not good from your personal story and that motivated you, because on the getting on the scale and seeing something would not, I'm definitely sure there was something more. So I would have loved to hear what was that exact thing that motivated you to go after this. And this is what I did. You spoke about it. This is where I am. So you gave us a clear picture. So I would have loved to listen more about what had happened, what was that struggle, and what made me pursue this. So good evaluation by Toastmaster Francis, pointing out about visual and keeping in mind audience have visual, auditory, kinesthetic, all that feeling, and keeping all those things in mind. Thank you very much. So our last evaluator for SUS is our VP Education, Toastmaster Bud.
Thank you, Vinod. Liz, I really love this speech. I'm going to start off with, I love the flower. Right there. I'm not sure if it was accidental that the flower is purple and purple was a theme of your story, but I thought it was, I'm assuming that it was structured, that was intentional. I talk about doing an evaluation as a sandwich approach where you have the bread and the meat on the other side, but I'm going to start off with a little garnish on the top of the sandwich. When you start your speech, I heard Darren LaCroix say one time that he's pretty sure that the carpenter of Galilee, Jesus, never started any of his parables with fellow disciples and guests. He started off telling a story. And I would recommend you started your speech off with a question. And it was a question that drew us in. Have you ever been a mentor? And it made us think. I would start with the question, and if you must say, fellow Toastmasters, welcome guests, say it after the question, because that gets us in, it draws us right in, right to begin with. I love the concept of your friend being a clown. To me, that framed the mentorship, and I thought that was well done. I would encourage you, I noticed throughout your speech that you have the ability to put a little emotion into your voice and to build a story up. I would add to your speech just this little bit. Tell the story of your fear. Tell the story of something you felt made you afraid, what made you afraid. And then you can add the contrast to that of getting Richard to draw you out of your fear and get you into the area that you wanted to be. You asked me to look for some specific things, and I'm going to run through them very quickly. First of all, your enunciation is very good. There was no difficulty. I mean, you have an accent, who doesn't? But there was no question in my mind anytime what you were saying. No, what did you mean by that word? Or no, it was all very clear. You are very emotive, and I encourage you to continue to build on that because that is something that is a strength of your speaking. Let's see now. Oh, yes. You asked if you were inspirational and persuasive. Very definitely. I was inspired, and I was definitely persuaded that this is something I want to do as a mentor. Richard made a great example. And emotions you evoked, you invoked gratitude, you invoked sadness. You definitely grabbed us with that story. And I enjoyed it immensely. I really I look forward to hearing you speak again. Back to you, General Evaluator.
Thank you very much, Toastmaster Bud, for that valuable evaluation. So our evaluator Bud gave an alternate option that if the question would have been different, and he gave a clear structure. That is one of the most easiest structure in any Toastmasters like speech that you can use. Tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point. Tell a story, make a point. Never make a point without a story. And Luz, you are a very like what you say, a speaker who can elicit emotion. Like Michael Haig says, the screenwriter, that the purpose of any story is to elicit emotion. That is what had also pointed out. And if I, from my side, if I would like to say something, add something over here would be, you mentioned something that you had never heard about teacher, tutors, or you had heard about teachers, tutors, and advisors, but you had not heard about mentors. that I would have loved if it would have been like what you say, come up, because that would have given us a frame that you had never heard about mentorship or mentors. And then when you started about Toastmasters, it would have gone into much deeper. So again, a speaker who can touch emotions. Keep doing that. Thank you very much, Toastmaster Hut, for evaluating. So ladies and gentlemen, the evaluations are done over here. So let me call upon the grammarian. So yes, let's give them a big round of applause. All of them had valuable advice. And if any of you would like to give any advice or any feedback, please do that, because the word may be feedback, but actually the purpose is to take it forward, feed forward, right? It doesn't take you back, it takes you forward. That's why Marshall Goldsmith says it is feed forward, not a feedback. So let me come to my role as a general evaluator. Let me call the grammarian to give the word of the day report and the grammarian report. And Toastmaster, let me see, Shreyashi. Yes,
Thank
over
you
to
very
you.
much, Administrator. My sedulous report as a grammarian today is that it was a very eloquent and conversational session. The word of the day was used by Brahm 4 times, and once the word sedulously was uttered. Brent used it twice, and nobody else. Anyway, let me go on with the grammarian's report. Sandi coined the word hangry. I'm hungry plus angry, which I found quite amusing. Piggybacking, nerve-wracking, practice makes progress. These are all the wonderful uses of grammar that she did. Marianna used exhilarating experience, intermittent fasting. Peggy, perspective, impactful course. Luz, his mentorship went above and beyond. Everything was about the journey and not the destination. Anusha, convolutions of moment, little figurines. Ram Lakhanpal envisioned. Brent, meticulous, embedded with content of speech, embellished, exceptional. Vinod, broke the shackles of networking, elicit emotion. Now the not so good uses are few. Let me let you know what they are. A mentor that impacted your life. It should be who impacted your life. Show the world through my speaking. It should be speeches. Time to carry off his legacy, carry on his legacy. My heart felt so much peace, so much at peace, I believe is the word. Cut the chase, cut to the chase. Regarding our counters report, Luz, once she used like, thrice, once, and repetitions was unfortunately.
I think we have lost Shreyashi. Give her a big round of applause. Anyway, she was very meticulous in giving her observation, very carefully picking out how many times the words were used. And yes, I also noticed the evaluators actually used it pretty well. And the most sedulous person in today's meeting, if there was ever an award for the best role player, I would have given it to the timer of the day today. So may I please call on the timer to please let us know the evaluation's timing.
Thank you, Mr. General Evaluator. Let me just get my piece of paper. Francois, 1 minute 59. Brent, 3 minutes 55. Fercy, 3:43. But 2 minutes and 8. And the grammarian, 2 minutes 26. Over to you, Mr. General Evaluator.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much to our timer. And can we have the polls up? And before I said it was there, so please do vote quickly. Done. So, Brahm, if we have received enough vote, we can move ahead.
Yes, go ahead. No, not a problem.
Okay, thank you very much. So my evaluation team has done the evaluation, and let's see what happened in today's meeting from the beginning. So our surgeon at arms today, Nikita came, and as usual, always like smiling, and she spoke about the club's mission, why we are here. Everything was done. She introduced the Toastmaster of the day, and really took, we say that you should introduce in a way that take them high and make them fly. And she did that really. And Brahm was pumped up, is always pumped up, and he introduced the theme. Now, what I thought Nikita would come dancing, but then she said she have a stiff neck today. Then I understood, okay, that is why she's taking it very slow today, or else I was like looking for some energetic moves from her, Nikita. Thank you very much for showing up today. Showing up also is a part of leadership. So then our Toastmaster Brahm came, he introduced the theme. In 2 point, it was not like what he usually says, that self-directed like 1.0 and 2.0 is just a tweak. He introduced the concept of team very well over here. He introduced something about practice, and he took an audience survey, which he will be sharing, I think, again, the pre and post survey with us after this. And he managed the meeting very well. It's a little bit, we are running late. I'll try to quickly, like what is, wrap it up. Tony, you aligned not only with the theme of the meeting, you aligned with the club theme also. So the toast was very apt. With your experience, it came from the heart, and you usually speak like that. So amazingly done. Of course, I gave about what I learned today. I take a lot of notes from Sandi. What I took was, there was one word, one sentence that you mentioned: share time together. Now I am going to use that and make a speech about that. Like, networking is thinking about how to share time together, and practice makes progress. Something you said, I was listening to Seth Godin, and he says that usually we think practice is a means to an end, but actually practice itself is the end, because you can only control practice, you cannot control the outcome. So it resonated with me amazingly. All the other speakers, where we had a variety of speakers, and that is the strength of this particular club. And keep doing it. Let's be 15 minutes early, let's stay 15 minutes late, let's be intentional about our growth, and let's practice leadership daily. So that is from my side. Over to you, Toastmaster of the day, Brahm.
Thank you very much, Mr. General.
Just a second, Brahm, if you can give me because I missed one of the amazing role player today. That is our table topic master, Wesley. Wesley, I think if you wear a saffron robe and have a beard, you would be really like what you say, a philosopher, ancient philosopher, because the topic that you chose today was very, like what you say, philosophical. And what we said, as Brahm also rightly had mentioned, the allegory of cave. In philosophy, stories are called as thought experiments. And one of the famous thought experiments is the allegory of cave by Plato. And the second is something by Joseph Campbell, that the cave that you fear most holds the most treasure, something like that. So I connected to it immediately, and I wanted to speak, but then I knew there were others who, like what you say, to give an opportunity. Very nicely selected theme, and something which went deep. So I appreciate for selecting this topic. Thank you very much, Wesley, for selecting this. Over to you now, Brahm, completely.
That was wonderful. Thank you for saying that about Wesley. It was really deep, actually. He's a philosopher. So that's his title now in the club, the philosopher. Very well done, Wesley. Thank you very much, everyone. The results for our poll, and I'll end this meeting very soon. We'll adjourn, and then we will reconvene immediately after adjournment for certain announcements and for guests. But our best speaker was and is, of course, today is Luis Sanchez, best speaker, obviously. Very well done. Our best table topics, it was a tie, and I did break the tie. So we have our guest, Anusha Khurana, and Nikita Winkler as the two tie-ins. And our evaluator was also a tie between Brent Pattinson and Fersi Gotwal. Congratulations, everyone. Well done. I really loved the meeting, and there's two individuals that really stood out today for me. Our GE already mentioned that the timer, she did very well. She was one of the individuals that really kept me on track. And the other individual was, of course, Nikita, how she started the meeting. They really pumped me up very well. As for myself, my self-evaluation is that I think I'm at around 50% of how to inspire an advanced club. I really need to put in a lot more work in how to inspire people and to uplift them. I don't think I was that uplifting today as I should really have been. So I'll give myself on 50% today, and I will work on that in the future. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. I will adjourn the meeting, but don't go away. Adjournment is only officially so that because we are running late in case somebody does want to leave. But if for those of you who can hang around, especially the members, please don't leave. It will take only a few minutes, but this meeting officially is adjourned. I'd like to talk to the guests as well. But before I do talk to the guests,